Okay, next question. And I also know I am talking a little bit fast. I get excited about these subjects, so if I'm going way too fast, please tell me to slow down. Sometimes I need to take a breath. Okay, so Nicole had a question. What happens if one day you are starving, not craving, but literally feel like you can't be satiated? Do you go with it and listen to your body, or do you go with it and listen to your body and feed it? Good question. So with this question, I would say that, again, I think if we're talking about fat loss, obviously if you are in a fat loss phase, if you are in a deficit, and you're experiencing hunger, and if you're even maybe at maintenance, sometimes you're going to experience some hunger that's due to hormonal fluctuations or stress or lack of sleep, things like that can occur at any point, no matter what you're at, what type of phase you're in, basically. But the biggest thing to realize is, okay, what is the trade-off of that, right? So if you are in a fat loss phase and you are experiencing hunger, right? That's normal, right? If you were in a calorie deficit and you didn't experience hunger at some point, then I would be concerned. Because you're literally bringing your body out of its balance and feeding it less, right? Or moving more and feeding it less too, right? And so the natural reaction is for your hunger hormones to ramp up. And so if you are experiencing, as you mentioned, like really, really high hunger, one thing to think about is, okay, am I in a fat loss phase right now? Is that my goal, to lose body fat? Then, okay, do I kind of buckle down and think about some different tactics or tricks that I can do to help to, focus on more satiation throughout the day? So whether that's choosing some different foods, especially if this is happening regularly. If it's happening like once or twice a week and in a fat loss phase, this is normal, right? But and maybe more than once or twice a week, it's normal to have those hunger signals jump up, especially if you're in a more aggressive deficit. I know for me right now, with where I'm at, yesterday I had, my hunger was just like through the roof pretty much all day. But for me, it was like, okay, I know that I'm in a deficit, right? I know that I have certain goals. I have a certain timeline. So for me, the long-term gratification is more important than that instant gratification. And I can kind of talk myself down and say, okay, like, I know that this hunger is normal. This is part of what I'm doing. So I need to figure out a different way to distract myself from it, and realizing that hunger pangs come and go, right? So even if you're feeling like true, real hunger, like at the pit of your stomach, that really is only going to last max like 20 to 30 minutes when those because hunger is like a wave. It comes and goes, right? So if you've ever fasted before, you'll know, or even for long periods of time, you'll know that hunger comes and goes. And so it's just kind of getting over that hump. That is the hardest part. And there's ways to help with that, right? So I talk about hunger hacks a lot, like electrolyte jello and lots of water and, not low calorie drinks. I have a whole hunger hacks guide that I posted in the group, I believe, a little while ago. If you just search hunger hacks at the top of the app, you'll be able to find that. So those are things to have on hand, right? Hunger hacks are great. Also just kind of distracting yourself. So for example, yesterday I was at my desk doing some stuff and I was like, that hunger was lingering a lot. So what I did is I just got up, I got a seltzer water from the fridge, and then I just went out for a walk and distracted myself. And then it went away and I was kind of back to my normal for the day. So yeah, that's something to think about. And then also, it's all about figuring out, like, is that trade-off worth it, right? So the trade-off of satisfying that hunger signal or that hunger pang, does that mean that maybe it causes you to go over your calories for the day, right? If your goal is fat loss. And is that the end of the world? No, it's not. But is that going to delay you from getting to your goals in the timeline that you want? Or are you okay with that? Are you okay with kind of pushing that timeline off a little bit more, right? So there's no like bad or good. It's just all about kind of thinking through what's happening and realizing that a lot of these things are part of the process. If you're at maintenance, if your goal is not to lose body fat, then that is kind of another scenario where it's like, all right, if I'm noticing these hunger pangs that are really, really kind of aggressive and they're not cravings, then maybe I need to look at my meals, right? Am I having enough protein? Am I eating enough in that one in my meals, right? Am I eating enough food in my breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Have I been fasting a lot? Maybe I need to kind of pull that back a little bit. Maybe I need to think about my meal timing, right? So meal timing is something that's important, especially if you are struggling with some hunger signals that are dysregulated throughout the day, whether you're in a fat loss phase or at maintenance. Meal timing can be super, super beneficial for just paying attention to meal timing can be super beneficial for just kind of regulating things day to day. So I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, potentially. I don't remember exactly, but having set meal times can be really great to kind of regulate things throughout the day, and really, it really has to do with our circadian rhythm. So like our body is very good at detecting routine, right? So if you eat your meals at the same time each day, your body will actually start to anticipate that. And so your hunger hormones will start to ramp up around that time. If you're sporadic throughout the day and you're eating at all different times throughout the day, there can be a lot of, your body's basically just like, hey, like, I don't know when to expect my next meal or my next food. So I'm just going to ramp up these hunger hormones, randomly. Right. And that can be an issue too. Especially if you're trying to stick to a specific amount throughout the day and things like that. So those are just a few things to think through. There's obviously a lot of different ways that we can go about answering that question. But I would say the biggest thing is just like, okay, taking a step back. And this is where that mindfulness side of things comes in, and really thinking about your goals, really thinking about where you're at, thinking about the trade-offs that you're willing to make, instant gratification of eating that food right now versus the long-term gratification or long-term satisfaction of hitting your goal, a month from now or 2 months from now, whatever it is, right? So just kind of thinking through those things. Hopefully that helps a little bit.